Alright guys, in this tutorial we're going to be talking about pandas, okay? And this is the first of a few different tutorials on pandas, okay? If you're getting started in data science or machine learning, pandas is one of those fundamental libraries that you need to know how to use it, okay? So basically what pandas is a Python library that allows you to import data that might be sitting on flat files. So think of CSV, Excel, text files. So that data, you can import it into Python into something that is called a data frame. And once you have your data sitting as a data frame, then at that point, sky is the limit. What I mean by sky is the limit is that you can do whatever you want with your data. You can start, doing some feature engineering. You can use that data to build models and many other different tasks. Okay, so again, pandas is one of those fundamental libraries that you need to know if you are starting in data science or machine learning. Okay, so what you see here is the official side of the pandas library. Okay, so then here you can look at all the different things that they have to offer. And if you haven't installed pandas before, you will start with install pandas now, and then it can show you a tutorial of how you can install it on your personal machine. It also shows a couple of books that you may be interested in if you are starting on pandas, many other things. If you click on documentation, and then it will bring you to this particular site. And then if you click on the user guide, so it will show you a bunch of different tasks that you may be interested in. Okay, but in this tutorial, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can use pandas to import data that is sitting on a CSV file, and then we will perform some initial operations with that data. The data that I'm going to be using is this data set right here. Is one of the data sets that I upload to the Kaggle website. And if you are not aware with Kaggle, Kaggle is a data science competition platform. So mainly it focuses on predictive modeling competitions. In my opinion, is the best way to stay up to date and to learn from others. Okay, so this is the data set that I'm going to be using in these tutorials and on others tutorials as well. Okay, all right, so then now let's just jump into how do I read this data. Okay, so then the name of the data file is right here. I have it sitting right here. Is a DMC 2006 underscore train.csv. Okay, so if I want to read a data set, well, in this particular case, a CSV file into Python using pandas, first you need to start by loading the library, import pandas as PD, and then you start by, we can add a comment here, read the CSV file into a data frame, and then we can start with PD read CSV, and then in parentheses, then in quotes, we need to enter the name of the data file that we are interested in, DMC 2006.csv. Let me double check that that's the right number, the right label, DMC 2006 underscore train. Okay, so we run this. So let's select the environment, Python 3.10. Okay, so then when you see a green check mark, so then that means that everything went well. Okay, and then the very first thing that I do once I create a data frame with the data that I'm interested in analyzing is I print the head. Okay, so printing the first 5 rows. So how you can do that is you start by typing the name of the data frame, which in this case is DF, and that's a very common label that practitioners use, that head. That prints the first 5 observations by default. Okay, so as I mentioned before, so this is a data set, and let me give you a data set that is sitting on my Kaggle profile, and let me give you a little background on this data. So this data is, think of eBay, okay? So it's an auction data set. So then there are different items that they are listed on this particular website. So then we have when the item was listed, when the listed ended, how long it stayed on the website. And then at the end of the day, what we are interested in this case is what was the selling price and what was the average price or in that particular item category. And then this is a classification data set. So at the end of the day, the goal is to predict whether the selling price is higher than the average price. Okay, it's either higher if that is the case, so then you see a 1, and in other cases you will see a 0. So for example, instead of just the first 5, let's say I want to see the first 10. So for that, let's see. Yes, so then in this case, the selling price was 161.01 and the average price of that particular item category was 164.75. So, okay, so the very first thing that I do after I create a data frame and I print the head, then what you can also do is just print the tail, which is the opposite of head. So display or printing the last 5 rows. So then it's just df that tail, and that will print by default. If you don't specify anything between the parentheses, it prints the last 5 observations or the last 5 rows of the data frame. Okay. All right, and then the next thing that you do, typical, or at least that I do once I have a data frame, is just I want to know how many rows and how many columns do I have. Okay, so printing the shape of the data frame. So for that, I do df.shape, and that will do the job. So it prints 2 values. So then the first value refers to the number of rows. The second value refers to the number of columns. Next, printing the information of the data frame. So for that, what is the info? Basically, let me run this first. So the info of the data frame basically just give you a quick overview of each of the columns, each of the features in the data frame. And it tells you how many values are in each of the data frame, in each of the columns, and it also tells you how Pandas is treating each of those columns. Okay, for example, here we have the action ID. So there are 7,998 values stored in it, and Pandas is treating that column as an integer 64. The next one is item leaf category name. Same number of values, and then Pandas is treating that column as an object. So that is this column right here. So then that basically is the category name, the item category name, and that's basically a description. So anytime that you see objects, so that pretty much refers to a label in Pandas lingo. And then here, for example, we see something different. The start price. Pandas is treating that as a flow 64. Basically is because we have decimal values. Maybe you're wondering why this matters. Well, when you start working with bigger data sets, the data type, it becomes crucial. Crucial in the sense that by making some updates in terms of how Pandas should be treating one or a few of the columns, you can save up some memory space. So as of right now, Pandas is using 1.6 plus megabytes of memory on the data frame called df. Okay, so this data frame is pretty small, 8,000 rows, not that many. But then the moment that you start playing with hundreds of thousands of rows or maybe millions of rows. If you don't have a huge computing environment, so the memory usage is going to be an issue. Not only to create the data frame and start performing operations with it, but also the moment that you start building models with that data frame, memory usage will become an issue. So you can update or some of the data types here and there. In some cases that will be doable. In other cases, there is not much that you can do about it. Okay. All right. So those are the three things that I always do when I create a data frame. First, I print the head, then I print the tail. Take a look at how many rows, how many columns, and finally I take a look at the info of the data frame. All right, that's all I have for now, and see you on the next video.